Hello, everyone. This is your host, alexbalgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today we have Jack Middleton. He is the, CEO of Fat Mountain Farms. And so I'm excited to have you today. We're going to be talking about all food, all farming. But before we start talking about that, tell us a little bit about your story, how you got to be in the farm now.
Sure. Yeah. Well, firstly, just thank you for having me on this podcast and letting me have this opportunity to talk to your followers. But yeah, to get into it, I guess, is I'm originally from London, England, and I came over to the States back in 2016. I played tennis my whole life. That's all I knew. And I got a scholarship to come and play out in University of Mount Olive, which is a D2 school out in right like an hour from Raleigh, North Carolina. And long story short, my wife, I met her there. She was a tennis player, and then we fell in love, and we moved to Cerro Gordo, where the farm is. And then when that was about when COVID happened, so I was meant to graduate in 2020. COVID hit in March, and then had to stop and moved over to Cerro Gordo, and we got married in May of 2020. And then basically because of my visa, I wasn't allowed to work for a whole year, and my father-in-law was the one that kind of started this regenerative farming. He was the one that ventured into the field before all of us, and he kind of asked me to help him on the farm where I could, just so I could do something and help him. And he went to Polyface Farms, and which is a giant regenerative farm. It's kind of like the grandfather, Joel Salatin. He's like the grandfather of regenerative farming. And he took us out there to learn from him, and we all just fell in love with it, and started the business, Fat Mountain Farms, in 2021. Officially started the LLC, and yeah, the rest is history. So it's a bit of a different story than what most people hear.
No, it's great. I think more and more people are trying to either learn about farming or they're super new about farming. Like they never farmed, they lived all their lives in a city and now they're seeing the importance of it. And especially, I think you mentioned COVID when COVID happened. I mean, we were all locked down. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know, we thought we were gonna die, like all these crazy things and thoughts that were happening and especially if you lived in the city, now you find yourself like, now what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how to grow my food. I don't know the first thing about it at
Yeah,
all. I just know that I go to the farm, I go to the market, and that's it. Chickens are there, food is there, cereal is there, anything that I need is there. But I
yeah,
think, at least to me and a lot of people that I know, it made us think like, now what? What if now food cannot be transported to the city? The all the boats are on hold in the sea because no, we can't get anything from like China or Mexico or anywhere else because everything was stuck. So
mm-hmm.
it really got us to this point of like, what if? Like, what is going on? What can we do to really not fall into this state of like, I don't know how to maintain myself because nobody tells us how to grow food at all, not
Right.
anymore. In the old times, I think it was like passed from generation to generation. And now it's like, well, we live in a modern world, so we just
Yeah, I mean,
call someone for food, literally.
for sure. Yeah, I think COVID was one of the biggest wake up calls for everyone. I mean, that was like you said, COVID hit, and then all of a sudden the supply chain just collapsed, and everyone was like, well, what do I do? And people were panic buying. They realized that they were pretty much so dependent on these giant corporate farms and the government to support them. And they once that got taken away from them, they kind of had no choice where to go. They didn't know what to do, and we always say if COVID didn't happen, as bad as it was actually one of the best things to happen as well, because it woke people up and made people realize how important it was to take care of their health and to research where their food is coming from. Because I mean, that's what happened with us. I didn't really pay much attention to the food or farming before COVID. I just knew going to the grocery store and that was it. And then COVID happened, and I was fell down this giant rabbit hole with regenerative farming and grass-fed products and pasture-raised, and then we started the farm, and it was just mind-blowing. And it's yeah, I think it has been good and has been bad, but definitely a giant wake-up call for everyone, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the best about humanity is that, or humankind, I guess, is that when we are faced with these problems, with these situations, something so unexpected, right? But because before COVID, everybody was going about their days, thinking about their next vacation, thinking about this or their jobs or whatever. But then something dramatically like this happened, and not just to like one country. It was like the whole world. Like literally,
Mm-hmm.
as they were saying on the commercials, we're all in this together. It was
Oh yeah,
happening to everybody, right? Nobody was
yeah,
like uh touched by this. But what the cool thing, as you said, is how we come up out of this, what we learned of it. Because the more we fall, the more we learn. But it's how you come out of it. Like, what is it that we learn? Now we know. A lot of people are like, okay, mm, maybe we have to take certain measures to not get infected or whatever. Or I might have some plants to heal. I might add some, like, we came up to all, like, with all these solutions for it. And so I think that was like a good thing. I know it was really bad, but we have come up with a lot of really good things now. We're resilient by nature. So I think this made us, you having a farm, me writing a book, me coming up with a podcast. Like, a lot of people that I know, they use this as like, no, I'm not gonna just stay and wait for,
yeah.
my government to be like, come and help me. What about if that doesn't happen? You have to come up with your own tools and like see what you can do about this situation. So I think, as you mentioned, it was pretty bad, and a lot of people die or lost their loved ones and all this. But I think now at this point in humankind, I think we learn a lot and we're moving along pretty well, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and we, for us, we're always constantly learning still to this day, whether it's grazing practices or what we're eating, what minerals to use for our animals, you know, um, all kinds of stuff, really. It's That's one of the beautiful things about it. It's just opened this whole new world for us on health, nutrition, and lifestyle.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you have learned. I know you said that at the beginning you had no clue about farming. Probably that's where like all new people that wants to be like, oh, maybe I don't want to have a farm. Start with small thing. What are some of the things that you first learned in the farm that you were like, I had no idea.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing I learned was poop is a good thing. Like, poop is your friend. That was the big thing we learned, because we do regenerative farming. How we do our farming practices is all about enhancing the cycles of nature and keeping everything in full function together.
Hmm.
And that means that we're always moving our animals every day onto fresh areas of pasture. So that way they graze in one section, they poop on the
Hmm.
ground, and they move to the next section. And what that poop does is it builds the soil health and the organic matter in the soil and builds the grasses to become stronger. So that was one thing. I always thought poop was gross and nasty and didn't want anything to do with it. But it's literally the greatest thing that that we can have on the farm, because it just fertilizes that land so beautifully. When the best thing is when you have the chickens out there in our chicken tractors where we move them, and you'll see this just giant dark green strip behind them after 30 days from where they've just been so concentrated in, and they pooped on the ground so much. Um, yeah, the poop was the best friend, and then it was the moving them every day, learning about the timing of moving them and how all these different factors come into play with your decision to moving them. It gets very scientific, and you have the weather, the time of year, the types of grasses, whether the area of soil is healthy or not. All those come into play, and it becomes very tactical, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I liked it so much, was because I kind of viewed it as a tennis match almost. Growing up playing tennis, that's all I thought about. And I've put farming in that kind of perspective, was I'm kind of competing with the land and working out with the land and trying to become one together, and come up with these different tactics on how to move them, when to move them, what grasses to plant, how to, how we should fertilize this area better. So yeah, so I guess the main takeaway, the biggest thing was poop is our friend.
No, yeah, I think it's, we all think it's gross, but in reality it's something that it's a cycle, right? Kind of like it's good for the animals to poop, it's good for the soil, it's good for later the plants, or if you're growing other things, we'll use that as a fertilizer too. So I think yeah, it's great how you guys are farming. Tell us a little bit about that generative farming, because I think we hear a lot about conventional farming, and they use all
Hmm.
this machinery to grow things, or certain things if you're doing, if you have a like a animal farm and things like
Yeah,
that. Tell
yeah,
us how, what is this, how is it work, why is it good for us or the environment?
yeah, for sure. So yeah, regenerative farming, it's getting more and more. The popularity is increasing a lot with that name all over the world. And like I said previously, what it really means is you're just trying to help enhance the cycles of nature on your farm. So we're trying to make our farm flow as naturally as possible. So the origins of regenerative farming came from the people back in the day viewing how the bisons would move across the land. So they'd watch the bisons, and the bisons would eat the grass, and then they would move in just these vast herds across the land onto different sections. They'd never stay on the same area longer than 24 hours, and they'd always be moving. And then they would notice how the grass just grew back so strong and healthy. And then that's how it kind of came over time as the regenerative farming movement. So we're constantly, we don't use any herbicides, pesticides. We just use our animals in the manure, moving them every day, giving it about 30 to 60 days rest on pasture. And that's helping, enhance the soil, and it makes pretty much bring all the bugs back to the farm, different predators, different, just it's amazing to watch it happen. We get like a turkey family show up every year. You see all the bees showing up, all the life that just comes with it, and that's what it is it brings life rather than kills life.
Yeah, I mean that right there, I think with just conventional farming, we've been damaging so much of the land, and I don't think people understands that it's, as you mentioned, it's not healthy for the animal, it's not healthy for the soil, it's not healthy for the ecosystem. It's a lot more than just the steak they're eating, pretty
Yeah,
much.
for
It's
sure.
it plays a big role to actually do some sort of this, these practices that they've been used for a long time, kind of like moving the animals certain time, so the soil keeps regenerating, the grass, you don't have to use other sources to regenerate your farm, as herbicides and pesticides and things like that.
Yeah. And yeah, our main mission is to give the customer the highest quality food possible, the highest quality meat that we can give them, because they've been grazing on pasture, not being touched by any hormones or eating herbicides or anything like that. So it's as natural as it can get for our customers, which is what they like, and that's what the regenerative farming movement is about. As I said, it's enhancing the cycles of nature. Everything is together and flows together.
Hmm. So a lot of people think that this cannot be done. That's why a lot of people are like, well, that's why I'm vegan or vegetarian, because the they're producing what's it called, carbon.
Oh, the cows are producing too
Yeah,
much nitrogen and carbon
that's
and
it. Yes,
blocking the
yes.
atmosphere.
Thank you. I blanked for a
Yeah,
second. So there's this talk about it, right? And why people become vegan and all these things, which, by all means, if you want to do whatever you want to do, it's fine. However, I believe, at least the way I see it, I'm not a farmer or anything, but I feel like if you have these good practices, everything is working in a cycle. So there's really no the impact of nitrogen or carbon and all that. It's not as big as they said it is. What
Hmm.
are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's really, like you said, that's the biggest argument we always get from people who are vegetarian or vegan, is either the animals are causing climate change to get worse, or it's cruel that, we're just abusing these animals and, not letting them just roam free and live their life how they want it to, how they want to live. But what they don't understand is we're allowing these animals to live a very high quality life in a safe environment away from predators, and we're helping the environment improve. Because if you look at how they grow food for vegans and vegetarians, is they use these vast amounts of land for monocrop agriculture, which completely just wipes out forests to
And
just grow one crop
ecosystems.
and ecosystems. Exactly. So it's actually being that diet, and I can understand why people go that route, because they see videos of these giant corporate farms that have animals in cages and they never see sunlight. I get it why they would want to go that way, but when you start going into the details behind what their movement is producing, it's actually a lot worse for the environment than what regenerative farms are. And I always tell people, come out to the farm anytime and come visit the farm and point out to me where the cruelty is and where we're causing the environment to get worse, because I don't see it. I mean, I might be biased or blind to see it, but I really don't see how we're doing this farming style is causing the environment to get worse, because it just, like I said, everything flows and we're helping everything come to life rather than kill everything to grow just one thing.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and I think it's super important too, why we need to talk about food, where our food comes from, and how these farms are either growing the food or raising the animals, right? You talk
Hmm.
about like come to our farm and check it out and see what we doing. I think it's so important. I think nobody does that anymore. People are just like, meh, I'm just gonna go to the market and get my meat or whatever. But I think you know, these situations are so important for you to know your farmer and know where the food is coming from. I think
Hmm.
the whole climate change thing and all that, I cannot say for certain it's true or false. Nobody can, right? We're not scientists, at least not me. Maybe someone with more degrees can probably have a better argument, but I think what I'm saying here is that uh, it takes a lot to transport vegetables all over the country.
Hmm.
And what I'm saying here is that if we can only eat local fruits and veggies, local um, meats and cheese and honeys and all this, if we can do that, we're gonna minimize all the carbon footprint, if you will. And I think
Yeah.
if people that are trying to battle the carbon footprint need to think about now like the animal industry, like the cows or chicken or whatever it is, but more about where am I spending my money that actually the carbon footprint is being bigger, because I
Yeah.
mean, you cannot eat avocados in New York all year long for fun.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All vegans eat avocado all day long, like every day, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not a good thing. I mean, avocados are delicious. I'm allergic to them, but
Mm.
still. So it's one of those things. I feel like just finding the balance
Hmm.
in everything is
But
the key, as opposed to eliminating or demonizing certain things.
hmm yeah, you've got to be going, just from what you said about the importation with the vegetables. You've also got to be very careful with the meat as well, because I know the US imports about 70% of its beef production. So we don't even grow most of the beef that we sell in America. So in America, they import more beef and lamb and chicken from other countries, um, instead of actually growing it directly in America. So that's, as you mentioned, it's so important to get to know the farmer, because what you're eating from the grocery store might not necessarily have even grazed grass in America. It's going to have grazed grass in Argentina, Uruguay, New Zealand. So you don't even know how those places were practicing. And then the worst thing is they can also label it product of the USA, because they imported it from another country and just packaged it in the US. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great point you made.
Yeah, and I mean, even when they do, like, as you said, they import a lot of meat from New Zealand and Argentina, right? Those are kind of like
Hmm.
one of the two big ones. They're so far from us.
I know. Yeah. But again, it's become like it's cheaper. Like you can label it grass fed. The animals are grass fed out there, but we don't know if they are. And it's cheaper to buy, and that way they can sell it for 30-40% more than what they're buying it for. Whereas it's a lot more expensive to graze it and raise it in the US, but the product will be better if it's done that right on home soil.
Hmm.
So it's a very big challenge for small farmers like us to compete with people like that, because they're kind of setting the price for these supposed high quality meat products, when it's really not that great. And when people start realizing how the meat that they're buying from the stores is not even from the US, they're kind of amazed by it. They can't believe it, because it's labeled
Hmm.
products of the USA. But yeah, like you said, it's importing it is bad for the environment. You have to ship it over here. We don't know if the animal's being raised how we're being told, because they might have different laws and practices in place. So it's very misleading for the customer, which is
Hmm.
why they need to start looking at buying from local farms.
Yeah, definitely. I think that should be the way. I mean, we all love Costco and like all these stores because they're great for certain things. But I think when it comes to food, it just really makes a big damage for small farms, as you mentioned. And the thing is, like, we want to have a variety of farms to be able to purchase from. We don't want just a monopoly, where there's just one big box store that is supplying for us, because it's not good for anyone, right? Because if at any point, as we were talking about COVID earlier, um, Costco, for example, right, gets all their produce for all their people. But if we're only buying from Costco, we will never know all these other people. And so, in a case of emergency, now if Costco's closed, then you're done. You never knew that there's a farmers market, that there's small farms around your area. Most of the states have farms.
Hmm.
Whether, they're not gonna be the same in North Carolina than in California. Obviously, we do a lot of citrus and fruits in California and other stuff than in the East Coast, but still, you need to know all these farmers to get better products. Knowing your farm is better. You know how their practices are. So I think, an overall, we're not saying don't go to the big stores because they're gonna be there and they're
Yeah,
very convenient for you. But I think it is important to just think about, like, maybe today I'm gonna go see what's in the farmers market and see who's there today, and
yeah,
perhaps trying new things. I think
yeah.
it's the way to go in these cases.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love most about this job and this industry I've ventured into, is when we're going to the farmers markets and we're getting to meet the customers face to face, have a conversation with them, form a relationship with them, talk about their values, our values, and they can really get an in-depth detail about our farm and what they're buying and get a whole story behind it. And it just feels a lot better for them. It feels better for us that we're giving them a much better product than what they'd find anywhere else. Um, but the big stores, again, like you said, they're not bad. I mean, I'm not saying you should never shop there. They've done an amazing job at producing vast amount of foods at such a low price to feed the population. But getting that balance and solely relying on that one giant store to feed you is not a good thing, because it's one slip in the chain, and what are you going to do? You're out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so definitely I think the moral of our conversation today is find your local farmer and shop local. But yeah, just form a relationship with a local farmer, get to know them, their family, go out and see the farm, and you just end up meeting more and more people and diving into more and more information than you probably want to.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's great. It just really takes us to our basics,
Hmm.
to see where our food comes from. And also too, I think something that people forget is that if I go to you, you can actually tell me when the cow was killed, as
Hmm.
opposed to if I go to Costco or any other big store, the meat could have been there for weeks, days, like, a long time. So also too that freshness of the food, you can't, assure yourself that if you buy items from a local farmer, uh, you'll have that information, and those products were either just picked or the animal was just killed a couple days or a day or so, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Tell us or explain us just why, because I feel too that a lot of people that is listening now don't understand why should I come to your little farm, and buy your products that are more expensive than if I can just go to Costco, and sometimes they have a sale for a
Yeah,
lot
no,
less. Tell
yeah,
us
that's a
why is it more important to support your farms than go get that sale? Because I think people don't understand why is that and the connection of it.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question. And that's, some people always ask us why should I buy from you? But I guess the why would be is transparency and trust. So we're developing a relationship to form trust with this person. They can trust us that we are raising the animals safely, humanely, out on pasture, in grass, um, and they can trust us that we're going to be providing them with the highest quality product that they could receive, which is why they're going to be paying a bit more, but it's going to help enhance their life and enhance their health. And they can trust us in doing so. And because nowadays you can't trust the big stores anymore with what you're getting. Even with the organic label now, that I hear people all the time tell me, "Oh, well, I only buy organic," or "I only shop for organic products or organic meat." And so that's great that they're conscious about looking for a better product, but the organic label now is really hard to trust because it can get kind of misleading sometimes, depending on, they say they don't use certain herbicides and pesticides, but then some are allowed more natural forms, but nonetheless they're still using it.
Hmm.
And there's another form where it says, the animal must be on grazing on pasture 30% of its life. But what does that mean? Does that mean it only grazed grass 30% of its life, or did it graze more than 30%? It can be very misleading for people. So we're here to be able to offer people that 100% trust in knowing their product was raised how they expected to be and how nature intended.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of gray zones when it comes to organic and like generically modified food too. And I mean all this crap that they do with our food, right? We don't know if they're pumping things on our chickens or
Yeah.
our meat and all these things. And it's just mind blowing that you can't not know. Like if you're at a store, that's it. You don't
Hmm.
have that one person to be like, but why is it so fat? Why is it like this? Why is, you cannot
Yeah.
ask, like, what did you fed the chicken? Why is it so big?
Yeah.
Chickens are
No.
not
Yeah.
supposed to be like that huge at all, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, I think it's such a big, great area too. Especially too, you mentioned like organic and how people comes to you and tells you. But something that I know is that especially for farming produce, right? Uh, Small farms, like if you go to the farmers market, some of those farmers will tell you like, hey, I have a small farm, everything is grown organically,
Hmm.
and people might tell them, like, but why don't you have the seal of organic?
Hmm.
And let me tell you why. Because in order to have a seal of organic, yeah, you do have to have a lot of, organic products, processes, and things like that. But the government makes it so hard and so expensive for a very tiny little farm to get those seals. And
Hmm.
sometimes, I mean, there's such many things at play, right? That and so crazy too that even for organic processes, you have to pay all this amount of monies to get a seal of organic. So it's just so crazy and such a big, great zones in all this. So I think it's definitely better to try to find a farmer at your farmer's market when you can, as you mentioned, have a relationship because that's the only way to actually know where your food is coming from. And that's ideally what we want.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like on our farm, the customer can literally come out to the farm and pick up the chicken if they want to, and like literally hold the animal that they will eat later on. I mean, it might sound kind of cruel in a way to some people listening, but that's how close they can get to their product is they can touch the live product if they come and see our farm and get a real view on how everything's being raised and have that trust that they know it is actually being raised properly.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, I think we have to, I understand some people, they're like, no, we don't want to kill animals and, I don't want to eat animals and things like that. But I think it is just a perspective, I think.
Yeah,
My grandma will kill ducks for us, like for dinner and stuff. And when she did it, she just prayed. And I think it was such a beautiful thing to be like, all right, thank you for, being this beautiful and amazing dog
yeah,
and
no,
grown this big. And thank you because you're gonna feed our family. And I
yeah,
think when you see it in such a different way, especially like that, um, I, I don't see it as cruel. I see it as I am thankful for the land, for the animals to actually feed us and give us all these nutrition and all these things, right? So
yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like we need to think about twice on how we feel and see things when it comes to our food.
No, for sure. And I mean, that's a great way on saying it. We always say we honor, it's honoring the animal. The way we raise it is we try and do our best to honor the animal. And whether that's praying over the animal or whether it's raising it outside, giving it a proper, happy, healthy life. That's like we going back to the point, shopping with local farms, they can see how we're honoring this animal because when you have that disconnect and just seeing meat in the grocery store, you don't really understand how the animals has been raised, and you just kind of view it as, oh, they're just killing animals and just throwing it on the shelves in a piece of plastic. There's no heart involved in it at all, which is completely untrue. We
Mhm.
honor the animal. If you come see it and how we treat them, we respect the animal and want to give this animal the highest quality life it can while it is with us on our farm.
Hmm. And I think too also is for our meat lovers that they're like, no, I just eat steak from this store or this store because they have great sales all the time. Is also think about what you're putting in your body because I know also too if you go grab a steak from that big store or from your farm, that might kind of look probably the same in many ways, right? But I think some of the practices that you were mentioning, I am originally from California, and I've seen those farms, even
Mm-hmm.
from the freeway. And you see all these cows in this little house, all of them together. I mean, it's, just think about it. If you put a lot of animals in one place, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
That's when they get sick. That's when they need antibiotics to not get sick and die and at the
Mm-hmm.
proper time and all these things. And also, too, the smells are like horrible. And around those farms, you only see dirt. There's never
Mm-hmm.
grass. It's
Right.
like everything looks dead around those farms. So for everybody listening out there, that's most likely the meat that you're consuming. And so yeah, it's just like sometimes I'm not sure about the meat price right now, but I know in products usually from conventional and organic, it's about maybe like $2, $3 higher than the conventional farming, which is not a lot if you really
Hmm.
think about it, because you're buying better products, you know,
Yeah.
than conventional. So, do you know about what's the percentage or the on the money that they might be spending more? Is it like about $3 to $5 or something? Or
Well,
is it
so
like
for
really bigger than that? I'm not sure.
yeah, no, so for like the most common product we sell is our boneless, skinless chicken breast. So we don't sell it by the pound anymore. We sell it by the pack. So the large size chicken breast, which is going to be about 1.5 to 2 pounds, we sell it for $21 a pound. Oh, $21 for a pack.
Mm,
Um, Whereas people, if they're going to the grocery store and they're buying just a conventionally raised chicken, they're going to be buying it for about probably $5, $6. So
mm,
there is what we have is a huge, huge difference in price, which is what does shock some people. Um, but it's they shouldn't view it so much as the price. It's how we're raising the animal and the nutrients the product is going to be offering them. So because our chickens lived outside their entire life, their bodies, because they're monogastric animals, what they eat, we eat, and how they live, we're eating how they live. So if they're sitting in filth their whole life, we're going to be pretty much eating filth. And that's another reason why these conventional farms have to chlorinate these chickens, is to kill all the bacteria on those chickens. So we're also, if you're buying conventionally bought chicken, you're consuming chlorine. Um, so we're offering people not to be able to have that, not to experience that. Where our chickens have lived outside, they're exercised, so there's a lot more lean muscle mass, there's more protein, they have a lot more omega-3 fats in them. They're full of vitamin D because they lived outside in the sunshine. All the minerals and vitamins from the grass they're eating, the organic feeds, the non-GMO feed we give them. So that's why it is priced a lot higher, because of the nutrients being offered to the person. And we say either pay now for health or you pay later with health issues.
mm,
Um, yeah, that's the difference. And I think it's a bit different with beef. Beef is a bit closer. We don't do beef. Um, but I know for like ground beef, the average grass-fed, grass-finished, regeneratively raised ground beef is about $10 a pound, whereas in conventional it might be 6.
mm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's my guess, I think.
Something like that, yeah. I same like you, I just mostly eat like fed grass animals and organically. I do try to do my best when it comes to buying quality foods. And it's just what you said. It's like, do you want to pay now a little bit more for a good product, or later for all these toxins that you're gonna be consuming? Yes, it's a $6 chicken, not a maybe a $20 chicken, but guess what? The $6 chicken it's offering you is antibiotics, bleach,
Mhm.
toxins, uh, and all these other bacteria that might come with it, because now we're talking at a cellular level, more of what the chicken was fed, how the chicken was treated, all these things that are so crazy just to even think about it, because you just don't want to think about it. You just want to be like, I want to go to the store and buy me a chicken. I don't want to know that you blew up my chicken with all these things, you
Yeah.
know so, but the reality that will even, especially in America, because it's not like this all over the world, I gotta say. I've been in a
Hmm.
lot of countries, and we are unfortunately the one of the only countries that really messes up our food system and what we eat. And
Yeah.
so, what is left to us is just to make the better choices and keep on buying certain things, so the government knows that, hey, I really don't want to get sick. I don't want these products that has pesticides or they're genetically modified or all these things, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to the consumer, if you will. But as of now, we don't have legislations or things like that can prevent us from not eating genetically modified foods like in other countries in Europe, or
Hmm.
Asia or whatever. So as of right now, the only thing that we have left is like whether you eat the cheap chicken, which yeah, you know it's good for now, but most likely later on in life, all those toxins, all those antibiotics that you've been eating from there will eventually get you sick. And that's where
Yeah,
you're gonna pay the big bucks. You don't wanna
yeah,
pay $20 for a chicken, that's fine. And believe me, health system in America is not the greatest. So you're gonna be paying
yeah,
not $20 for the doctor. You're gonna spend hundreds and hundreds on just the
yeah,
health system. So I think it's seeing this at to the future and see how you want to live your life, especially if you want kids and stuff like that. You can grow things, have a small garden on your house. You can know your local farmers, see what they do, learn from it. And it just goes back to what you said, what they eat, you eat, what they're happening to them, it's gonna happen to you. So if you're gonna be eating the $6 chicken, they were on antibiotics, they were sick most of the time, they were not great, and you're eating that, eventually that's where you're gonna end up to.
yeah. No, you said it beautifully. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say any better than that. But you said as well, the consumer in America, literally, money talks in the US. Like if the government and the pharmaceutical industry and the big ag industry start seeing such a decline in purchases from their terribly raised animals and herbicide sprayed vegetables, they're going to probably start considering things and go, oh, like I might need to start changing things. As they'll start talking to the government, and the government might have to start changing some policies. So the consumer has the most power, and to encourage people to go that route is health is freedom now. I mean, if you have your health, you are probably one of the most free people on earth, because if you once you get trapped in that pharmaceutical, lifestyle, they got you forever. And keeping your health is everything now. Just as we saw from COVID, if you can keep your health and you don't have to go to the doctor at all, you're using food as medicine, as Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine." Um, you're on the right track, and you've got so much freedom compared to other people that unfortunately are trapped in that pharmaceutical cycle.
Yeah, and I mean, who doesn't like to feel well, right? Like we
Yeah,
all want to feel good and to have our optimal health, and pretty much it starts in your kitchen and what you eat. And so yeah, just remember that for everybody that's listening, it's one of those things that uh you have the power to know where you want to be. So if you want to be healthy, you could do that. If you don't, you will have that too. So, and remember, we're all part of a cycle. So
yeah,
um, no, this has been great. Thank you for all the information. I think it gives us great points just to think about it. Maybe some people are still on the age of like, oh, I don't know if I want to spend the money or not.
yeah,
Now you know some of our points of view. You don't have to believe what we said here. You could do your own research. Talk to your farmers. Just talk to them. You don't even
mm-hmm.
have to buy anything from them. Just literally be like, so what do you do? And check what the conventional farming is doing. See how they
Yeah.
treat their animals, how they treat the farm and things.
Yeah, and people always get confused and think that they have to just drop spending money in the grocery store and only spend with local farmers. But no, you don't have to, spend everything on this one farmer or only local farm goods. Just start off with like, half your grocery store budget or even less, and just add maybe one item a week from a local farmer. Um, yeah, one item every week, and then maybe build it up over time, and you'll start maybe feeling better or seeing the difference. And don't throw all your money at just at one time, because you don't have to do that. Just start slow. It's a whole. It's not a diet change. It's a complete lifestyle change. So it's very overwhelming when you begin. So just start slow. That's the best advice I can give to your listeners. And if you're ready to jump in full heads first, we're here for you. Local farmers are here. But if you're also ready to just start nice and slow, that's fine too. Everyone has their own own path and their own journey they've got to go down.
Yeah, I know for sure. And you're right. Uh, you know, you could just start slow with one thing. Maybe, keep buying things from what you've been doing for a long time and try with some herbs, some little products. See, what's the difference, smell them, feel them, see how is that aligning with you. And then slowly, if you ever want to try something from a local farmer, do it. Please do it because supporting our local farmers, it's what we need right now. Because just, think about it. If there was no more farmers in your area or in the world, what will did we do without them? There will be no
Mm-hmm.
food and stuff. So they're very important. So just keep that in mind. Thank you for talking to us today. I think our listeners are gonna really sit on that thought and be like, maybe I should try different things today. So I hope you do. Thank you for being here today. If anyone has any farming questions or what you guys are doing at your farm, where can they find you?
Sure. They can go. Our Instagram is our main place that we post regularly. That's just all one word, Fat Mountain Farms. They can go on our website and send us an email. The website's www.fatmountainfarms.com. And then they have our phone number on there as well that they can call or text anytime if they have questions. And then we have our Facebook site as well, which is just Fat Mountain Farms.
Yay. I will put all that information on the show notes. Also, too, you have give us a promo code for anyone that wants to try your product. So I will put that on the notes too. So that's always a good place to start. You get some sort of discount and then you get to try new stuff too. So that's
Yeah.
that's just awesome. So thank you. Thank you for being here. For everybody else, if you want to know anything about my show, you can find me on alexbalgood.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, pretty much everywhere. Also, remember my book is out, so you can buy it on Amazon's and Barnes and Nobles. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Keep on eating good food and take care of yourselves. Have an amazing and blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you.